first question is about tactical master pole. And so quite often, some of the sales pitches in the industry are about what's the weight of a pole. And that's driven from, if you go back 15, 20 years ago, and then right up until you saw the changes in the brush with constructor brush through to radial brush. When we have a pole, we have to agitate the window. And if you go back to when I started window cleaning, they were fiberglass poles, and the poles were crazy heavy. And so we agitate the window, and then we would normally, with pencil fan jets or fan jets, we would then take the brush off the window, and then we would chase the dirty water off the window with the pure water. So all of a sudden, the weight of the pole became really important. And when I was selling water-fed window cleaning equipment before we started Reach It, with the Reach It Mini and the Reach It Pro, then we would sell a good customer 5 poles, one for ground floor, one for first floor, one for second floor, one for third floor, one for fourth floor. In those days, we could go out to 5 floors. But the problem with that is you have 1 plus 2 is 3, plus 3 is 6, plus 4 is 10, plus 5 is 15. You've got 15 floors of pole to clean 5 floors of window. And so that's a lot of weight and a lot of product, right? It's a waste of product. And what started Reach It was me thinking, because one guy said, do I really have to buy all these poles? Can't I just buy 1 pole? And that got me thinking, and I thought, okay, the whole industry has got the pole thing wrong. I'll go and make the pole. So I cut down a pole and I made a Mini, and then it all kind of Reach It grew from there. So the principle that we want to first achieve is the 80-20 rule, to understand that 80% of glass for a residential window cleaner is 2 stories and below, and 80% of glass for a commercial window cleaner would be 3 stories and below, or maybe 4, but unlikely, right? And the logic of that, if you've got a 4-story building, it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, then you only use the full extension of that pole to clean 4 stories at 4 stories. And then you come down to 3 stories, you always clean from the top down, so you come from 4 to 3, and if you could shed part of the pole will get lighter. And then you come down to the second floor, shed part of the pole, and the pole will get lighter. So the pole gets lighter as you go down. And those of you who have been to the gym would understand that you can do more weight at the beginning of a session than you can at the end of the session. So you lighten the weights. So the logic is, firstly, you only use the part of the pole that reaches, let's say, 40 feet. You only use that full extension on 4-story buildings, right? And that's assuming there's 11 feet between floors. So there's another conversation about 11 feet between floors to residential, 14, 15, 16 feet between floors on commercial. But the logic is half of that 4-story building is 2 stories and below. Yeah, only 25% of the building is at 4 stories, and 25% of the building you could clean with your hand, right? It's ground floor, right? So understanding the application of when you need, if you're looking for a 40-foot pole, do you really need a 40-foot pole today? If you've got a 4-story building, you need to be able to get to 40 feet, but once you've finished 40 feet, you're now at 30 feet, and then you're at 20 feet, and then you're at 10 feet, if I simplify it. So the logic of all the Reach It poles is they pull apart 1 floor at a time. And you can buy a pole at the beginning, like a Reach It Mini or a Tactical or a Warrior, and you can buy a pole that reaches the maximum height that you need to get to now, with or without extensions, and then you can add to that pole. So for example, Mini can be extended with plus B for Tactical. It can be extended to 4 stories max. It's kind of good, super rigid at 2 and 3 stories. And then Tactical, you can go from 2 to 3 to 4 to 5. And Warrior, you can go from 3 or 4, depending if you get it in an elite pack. You go from 3 to 4 to 5 to 6 to 7 stories, which is like really extreme, water-fed window cleaning. So in our experience, not many guys go to 7. Most guys pull up at 5 or 6. But if you're in a county or a village, you might only have a few 4-story buildings in your town. So there's no reason to be looking at, 6 and 7 stories. So it's a different strokes for different folks, and being able to understand what is the rule, but the 80-20 rule says you should buy your pole for 80% of your work, your master pole, whether it's a mini/tactical, and then that becomes the pole that you buy, and then you buy extensions that will extend the pole to the maximum height that you need at the time. And so you don't have to buy a 40-foot pole today. You can buy a 25-foot pole, and then you can extend it to 30, 40, 50 feet, at any time in the future. So
we have all the poles.
Yeah, we have those. I might just demonstrate that. If I grab a tactical, which is like our number one selling pole. So we have 7 sections, and sections 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So the clamp on 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. No, got the wrong one. Right, this will pull through, right? And we have a stainless steel end defender on this one, because now this could be used and touch the ground and get beaten up. And so that stainless steel end defender is there to protect the carbon fiber. Carbon fiber is really brittle. It'll wear down in no time if you don't have an end defender on there. And we give you 304 stainless steel so that it will never wear down. So you can really, genuinely, we've got people who've got 10 years out of their poles, yeah? So if you're just doing 14 foot plus 20 foot work, like 2-story work, then you would just use this pole here with 4 sections. But when you get down to the ground, right, then you'll just pull the number 1 section out, and you can do glass balustrades and groundwork with the number 1 section. And that makes your life very easy. Now,
and with a rigid brush, you can also clean negative angles.
And negative angles below the waist. Yeah, good point. So the point about this is that plus A on a tactical or a mini, not that I recommend plus A for mini, I really just recommend plus B for mini, but for tactical, because this is high modulus carbon fiber in these top 4 sections, plus A goes in there. So you can extend this pole by putting plus A between sections 1 and 2, and that'll give you 8 foot 4 inch extension, right? And you can see on the backboard, Martin?
Yes.
Yeah, you can see plus A, the short ones there, are for the tactical and the mini. And then plus B, the yellow one, it can extend this pole, thanks man, it'll extend this pole between sections 4 and 5. Now the reason we don't put the extension on the base anymore, we actually registered a patent. We never went through with it because it cost too much, but we were the ones that registered the patent for the extension that goes on the handle, right? But overall, the bigger the diameter of the tube, the heavier the pole is. There's more carbon fiber in it. So we're adding all this weight to the bottom of the pole and basically pushing the bottom of the pole down and pushing the flex into the pole. So when we put our extensions in the middle of the pole, right, they're actually a high modulus carbon fiber as well. So they add rigidity to the pole where and when it wants to flex. So if a tactical won't flex at all as a tactical, but you take a tactical up to 5 stories and it'll want to flex by the nature of the stresses on the carbon fiber. So if we put high modulus for the extensions. Now, modulus is weight versus stiffness, right? So if we can put a lighter extension in that's a higher modulus, that's more stiff, right? Then we can put that in the middle. Then that gives us a benefit because we've got less weight in the pole. So the reason why we add the plus B in between 4 and 5 and we add the plus A between sections 1 and 2 is to make sure that you're adding the least amount of weight possible for the extension that you want. Let me pass you that. So how much does a tactical weigh? Well, a tactical weighs around 2 kilograms, 4.4 pounds or something like that, but you never counterlever a tactical. Like the brush is always on the glass, the pole is always leaning against the building except between windows. So the logic is we can make a lighter pole by using less carbon fiber, and we can use less carbon fiber by either giving you longer sections, but the longer the sections are, the further away the clamps are from you, so the less ergonomic it is for you to use it efficiently. So we go with shorter sections, bring the clamps, especially for shorter folk, but also for the tall guys, it's still ergonomically better than the 7-foot poles, like our Reacher Pro was. And but it's cheaper to get to 40 feet with 6-foot sections than it is with 5-foot sections, right? Because you end up with more carbon fiber. And then then we developed the radial brush so that the brush is always on the glass, and the jet streams from radial squirt all the way out to the edges of the brush, over the top and close to the bristles, so that you can go across the top edge and around the corner, scroll through the corner and down the side, and you never have to lift off the brush. Some of the other rinse bars that guys have gone to try and introduce rinse bars to their brushes, they still sit, the rinse bars end inside the block of the brush, and then they press the brush on the glass and the bristles splay. So sometimes the first jet is 2 inches away from the outside edge. They can't rinse into the corners, they can't rinse down the edge. So then you're back to lifting the pole off the glass, and then
that
you.
is very tiring. It's, when you're height, that's going to be extremely
Oh yeah,
tiring.
you're straining yourself.
Because also, if the pole is moving all the time, you have to balance it. When you're like
Oh, the load on your core is crazy. Yeah. And in the old days, I was doing fiberglass, and I got this knotted muscle in my back, right? And it was one of the reasons why I stopped window cleaning, was because I was in so much pain in this one spot, and I couldn't knuckle it out. You know, I'd go to parties and I'd be like this. Everybody's going, "Are you all right?" Yeah, I said, "Yeah, I just got pain here."
you can clean faster and less energy.
Yeah, because then ergonomics becomes really critical. Like the less you work in calories and effort to achieve the result, the more fresh you are, the more work you can do, the less you eat in order to achieve. You know, because sometimes people go, you know, I want to buy a cheaper pole, and I go, dude, you're going to eat more to run a cheaper pole, so you're going to pay for it one way or the other. You're either going to
Buy a faster pole.
You want to buy a rigid, precise, accurate pole that works as a drive shaft and an axle for the function of water-fed window cleaning. So actually Tactical doesn't have any weight except the weight of the pole that you buy, which is the weight of it fully extended, right? But it has a weight at, for example, if you buy it with a shock stop in a Tactical Elite pack, you know, maybe it's 2.8 kilograms, which is B5.6, about six pounds, and you've got like 6 pounds of pole that will reach 3 stories, but then you've got like 3.5 pounds for 2-story, and maybe 1 pound or 1 pound for 1-story for groundwork and glass balustrades. So the weight of the pole is determined by the height that you're cleaning, and then as soon as you've cleaned at that height, you then strip off the part of the pole that you don't need. And if you're starting just on a 2-story building, you won't take out the whole Tactical or Mini or Warrior. You'll just take out the part that does that job, and that's the weight of the pole at that height. And there's no big deal adding weight to the pole to reach higher, knowing that you can take that weight off. So that is the answer to that. Now, for the Warrior pole, the only difference, the logic is the same. Warrior pulls apart at section 1, 3, and 5, so it pulls apart in more places. Plus A goes between 5 and 6. Plus B goes between 3 and 4, like that. And the Warrior, if you look at the board, you'll see that they're longer, so they actually extend another 11 foot 4 inches, which is 1 story. So the Warrior extensions are 1 story at a time, and that gives you the same logic, same reason. The Warrior extensions, the Plus A and Plus B, are ultra high modulus carbon fiber, like the top of the Warrior pole, and the rest of the Warrior pole is high modulus carbon fiber. So we're trying to make sure that the pole stays as rigid as possible under all conditions. But obviously, the higher you go, the more load there is on the pole, so the more it'll want to flex and have the curve on the pole. So one day I might make maybe next Q&A I'll talk about the different techniques between cleaning at 7654, like that with a Warrior, because you change your technique slightly with each floor, and you can keep the pole as rigid as possible. Can you remember that for me, Martin? Tell Jen.
Yes.
The 7 st-
7, 5, and 4.
Yeah, like that. Yeah, there's a different technique. If you master this, you increase your efficiency and the effect.